In 2017, in an effort to be more reflective in my teaching, I was blogging every week, sometimes about how things were going in class, and sometimes just sharing my general philosophies on various aspects of education, like building student relationships or homework or managing conflict between students and things of that nature. I'd been using some reflection prompts that another teacher named Julie Rulebach had been posting on Twitter to encourage other teachers to blog about their practice. One of the prompts was called Phone Pocket, and it said, put your phone on audio record in your pocket for 10 minutes to record conversations with students. Pick one or two things that you would like to watch for when listening to the playback, then blog about what you discovered. What did you notice? What did you do well? And what would you like to improve? I had been kicking around the idea of wanting to start a podcast for over a year. I just didn't know exactly how I wanted to approach it. I really loved listening to podcasts. I felt with a background in audio engineering and freelance voiceover work, it could be a good fit for me. In December of 2017, I released the first episode of what was then called the Thom Gibson Podcast. And welcome to my first podcast. I've wanted to do a podcast for a while and decided to finally just do it. I am a middle school math and robotics teacher, and this podcast is going to be focused on education, but I'd like it to be a little bit more storytelling. I'd like it to be sounds from the classroom and thoughts from the classroom. I had recorded audio from one of the auction days in my classroom economy and shared how I was trying to guide one of the students who had started his own candy business and was beginning to deal with the struggles of having people steal his idea to sell candy at a cheaper price than what he was selling it for.
How much is a bag of Sour Patch?
A bag of Sour Patch is like $1.50.
One of my students, who I'll call JH, stayed after class one day to talk about business strategies because he was worried that a couple of other people were going to start their own businesses, lower their prices, so that way he would not be able to sell as many items. I didn't think the other students were really going to organize anything to actually show up with any of the merchandise, so I told him to not worry about it and to set his prices as normal, but he still feared losing business from these other people that were going to try to sell stuff at lower prices, and so he ended up being easily influenced by other students saying his prices were too high.
Right now, it depends on what towels prices are. These are going to cost $30 a piece.
What?
Yeah.
$30?
No. 10.
How much are yours now? How much are yours?
And then, well, actually the blow pops, I'll lower these.
You don't have to lower them. Just leave them there where they're at.
And, oh wait, can I...
Did you guys fill out a form and everything?
Wait, Tom, can I announce my perks?
I also talked to JH about loyalty programs that businesses set up, and so he created these perks to influence people to want to come and only buy from him.
I also have business perks. If you buy from me 3 auctions in a row for more than $75, you get 5 free real dollars you can spend at anything. If you can pay $100 to $400, if you do that, $100 gets you 10% off anything, $200 gets you 20% off, up to 40% off. If you pay more than $500 to me any given auction, then you get 3 real dollars.
So what's interesting is the students that went to JH and were threatening to start their own business of the same type and sell for lower prices didn't end up even bringing it. You guys aren't doing a business?
We are. We didn't bring anything today.
So you can charge whatever you want, Jack. Because, I mean, you virtually have no competition in here.
Okay.
All right, so keep that in mind. We're going to do the auction first.
You should raise the prices if you
And so at this point, JH is kind of regretting the lower prices that he had already proposed.
Yeah, I might raise the prices, guys. We'll discuss when I was thinking of buying something. I will announce the new prices after the auction.
Before we start, everybody go in. The podcast was a lot of fun to edit, and those first few episodes really helped me analyze my own teaching practice. It helped me become a little bit more detached from the situation and hear exactly how I was answering questions or interacting with students or not interacting with students or helping students too much or not helping them enough. When you listen to audio or watch video, you get perspective of your own teaching that's really difficult to get when you're in your head and in the moment and your own memory is the only real perspective that you have. Since then, the podcast has turned more into an opportunity to explore the innovative work that other teachers are doing in their classrooms, which in turn has really pushed me to want to up my own teaching game in the classroom and look for ways that I could do more innovative work and ways to make teaching more exciting for me and beneficial to the learning experience of the kids in my class. My name is Thom Gibson, and you are listening to Stories from the Classroom, and today we are exploring the question, should you start your own teacher podcast? Hey, that was a clip from an episode of my podcast, Stories from the Classroom. If you'd like to listen to the rest of that episode, I've gone ahead and linked to it in Apple Podcast and Spotify and Stitcher and wherever podcasts are available in the description. Or you can just search Stories from the Classroom and find it that way. If you end up liking the episode and you want to support the podcast, subscribing to it and leaving a comment and rating in Stitcher or Apple Podcasts can really help other people find the podcast as it gets more and more positive feedback from listeners like you. So thanks so much for checking it out. I hope you do enjoy the rest of the episode, and hopefully I will see you in the next episode of Stories from the Classroom.